I think this is from Decoy's live stream. This is Decaf Decoy. New York City is rapidly falling apart. And yes, like I said, crap, I already forgot his name. I already forgot the mayor of New York's name. Yeah, but Mamdani, he's there to literally finish what happened on September 11th. He is there to finish the job, and he's doing a great job of it so far.
Just over 4 months into Mamdani's time, and New York City's already gone insane. Like, car thieves in New York City spent early Easter morning trying to steal high-end vehicles from a garage beneath Sky Luxury apartment building. A McLaren was smashed on a sidewalk, a Range Rover trapped under a garage door, damaged cars scattered across Hell's Kitchen. This is Mamdani's Manhattan. Exactly. You are expected to foot the bill, top to bottom, New York City, for all his pet projects, all his DEI initiatives, but also, none of your wealth is protected. If you try to leave, they'll shame you. If you try to stay, you'll get robbed. New York City Mamdani announces he's hitting the wealthy with...
I don't know why that hit me. I need to stop eating the jelly beans. Yeah, because the rich people... What? Okay, so let's say you work hard. Sorry. Let's say you work hard to become wealthy and live a comfortable life, right? Sorry. You work hard to become wealthy and live a comfortable life. And then all of a sudden, someone comes in and says, I'm going to give this person who worked hard to live comfortably. Not everyone works hard. Some people are born into it, and then they just get the nepotism of having companies give them money. Sure, it's not all the same. But imagine having that mindset. Like for me, I know here in the United States, if I work hard in a career, well, not so much because the job market is very, very difficult right now. But there's always work. There's always work. I will always say there's always work, but a lot of people don't want to do the jobs that are available. But imagine working hard, making a name for yourself, and then literally after working hard in that job, you're being told the majority of what you earn is going to be given to the people who don't do anything. Of course you're going to want to leave. But the ordinary people get used to hearing like, oh, this rich person is now going to be supplying me. Everyone's going to have like, they have these places where you can go in and just grab food for free. They have the free bus fare, free transit for everyone, like all that kind of stuff. It has to come from somewhere. The people need to get paid. But imagine being a bus driver and realizing that you're literally ferrying people to locations for free food. There's free housing. There's free transit. Why would you be a bus driver when the people who are doing nothing are getting paid, well, sometimes the same amount as you or more than you? They're able to live their life and actually do things without actually having to do anything. And here you are slaving away driving a bus. So it just kind of discourages the workforce from actually working.
Maximum taxes to convince others to stop leaving the city.
Of working in middle-class New Yorkers. So I don't have a hesitation in asking those who make the most amount of money in the city or the most profits in the city to pay a little bit more so that everyone...
The sad part is, though, they say a little bit more, but they're already like 80% of the money that comes in. Most people over there are not net taxpayers, meaning to say they receive more in benefits than they pay out. And he's saying, I just need a little bit more out of you, even though you pay record-setting high amounts of taxes.
It's also something not just about justice or...
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. It's like 80% of the tax that is paid in New York, in these big cities, are paid by the rich elite already. It's not the working class. They're normally a net negative. Like for me, I'm a net negative on California because I don't make enough to actually be providing to California. I'm a net negative. But the thing is, I also am not on welfare. I'm also not on that. So I am working, and my taxpayer dollars do go somewhere because I'm not receiving any of these benefits that a lot of people get, especially a ton of illegals get here in the state of California. So I'm not entirely a negative. I'm just breaking even, I guess, at that point. I'm breaking even. But yeah, if I was on welfare and I was on a lot of these social programs, I'd be a complete negative and not even contributing to the entire system, even though I am taxed. It just wouldn't be going anywhere because I just am inconsequential to the extent of it.
Or the ability for working class people to live here. It is also actually about ensuring that corporations can continue to attract the top talent to the city. Because in a city where childcare costs more than $20,000 a year, I've heard from corporate leaders about how difficult it is for them to attract individuals who would work at their companies but want to raise a family, because you could be making $300,000 a year and you will feel that $20,000 a year because of the fact that we have allowed for the absence of affordable childcare to become reality.
No. When they talk about affordable childcare, do they actually mean actual childcare, or just another facet for them to defraud you, to send money overseas to fund literal terror groups over there that hate us? Like, these things all sound good, but it's never implemented the way they sell it to you. The craziest part, we need more money from you guys, even though you're paying the majority. Stop moving over here. But I think they basically have admitted what their plan is, which is you or our tax cattle.
If you go back before the 20th century, there were no income taxes, there were no regulations on business. You could earn as much money as you want, leave 100% of it to your children with no taxes.
Right.
That's the world they want back. And to get it back, they need society to change. They need people to be less modern. They need people to want fewer things.
Communism.
And you also need to give up reliance on police force, because your tax dollars go to the police, the fire department, the welfare, the VA. Like, a lot of these, like, America spends more on its social programs than anything else. Yes, America spends more on its military than any other nation, because it's the #1 largest military in the world. However, the sad part about the U.S. military is it's not in the U.S. The U.S.'s military is around policing the world, which is ridiculous. America shouldn't be around the world. America should be in America. Our troops should be in America. Just have the intelligence agencies, intelligence operatives out there in the world. Don't have our soldiers out there in the world. Let the nations that need us for their survival crumble without us. We don't need to be uplifting other nations. We really don't. I'm against having our soldiers die on another nation's battlefield. We just don't need that. We don't need that. I mean, the Iran war, it's going on way too long, longer than it was supposed to. Maybe that thing will stop eventually. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, in order to actually get rid of the reason why we pay taxes, we got to pay our police force something. We got to pay our firefighters something. We got to pay our soldiers something. We got to pay. But if we go back to the Wild West, where you didn't really have a military force, you had primarily Minutemen. You really had outlaws. Primarily, you had the cowboys, which were actually the outlaws. The cowboys were the outlaws. But yeah, it was just, you don't have marshals. Like, there was one marshal in the city who could absolutely be corrupt because he's just the one person in the city, and there's no one overseeing him. You have to trust on someone's own moral code. And the fact is, back in the day, we were closer to religion than we are now, that you could actually trust someone to actually have a moral code because they still went to church. They still believed in a higher power. Now you have a ton of people that believe that themselves are the end of everything. They are the most important moral compass. They themselves. And you can't trust people with being a moral compass, because we humans are absolutely flawed. But we can never go back to that, especially now that we've gotten so progressive and our minds have gotten so narrowly focused that we don't care about anyone else but ourselves. And it's just, our moral compass is completely dead. So we can never go back to something where we could actually trust our neighbor, because they were the same kind of believer as ourselves. They believed in a higher power. They believed in, doing what's best for everyone, because nobody believes in that anymore. Nobody does.
Look at all the shiny things I have. But you need to stop wanting to keep your money. No income tax, no regulation. Your family gets the fruits of your labor. No. The state owns what you give. Here's the thing, you say Florida has no income tax. If Trump gets rid of federal income tax and makes up the difference with cutting federal and state programs, and then also having tariffs fund everything else we need in government, like the military, infrastructure, salaries of congressmen or whatever. If we can just put all that burden on other countries trying to do business with America and stop taxing the income of Americans, because we already pay it in sales tax, I think Republicans win 2028, no question. But they have to get that pushed through first. What do you need to pay in to New York City in the meantime? It's ridiculous that anybody would think, I'm getting robbed. The police are everywhere. I'm hearing calls to prayer at 6 in the morning every single day. What are my priorities right now?
And while today's true cost of living measure confirms that the affordability crisis touches every corner of our city, we know that these effects are not applied evenly. So often, it is Black and brown New Yorkers who are hit the hardest. This preliminary racial equity...
No, it's those who can't afford living. It doesn't matter if they're black or brown or white. Those who can't afford the living expenses will be the ones hit the hardest because they can't afford the living expenses. I hate this nonsense that it's about race. I really hate the nonsense that it's about race. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. It has nothing to do with race. It has to do with the fact that, like, for me, I'd be dead. I'd be dead broke in New York City. I couldn't afford it. I can barely even afford it in California. Well, I can't even afford it in California. I can get food, and that's about it. I can get food. That's about it. I can enjoy what I eat or what my wife is willing to cook for me. That's about it. That's the extent of what I can do here in the state of California on my menial job, on my absolutely menial job.
Plan is the first step in developing a whole of government approach to tackling that reality.
How much is it going to cost them?
It is a plan that lays out these first steps to solve decades of neglect and discrimination, and it places the work of 45 city agencies within a singular framework.
I like the idea of taking 45 agencies and putting them in one. Cut out 44 different bosses and just have the one boss. But does he mean giving less services, or is it more services and putting another person on top of that? Let's make a new governing body over those other 45 bodies to make sure there's equity and diversity in them, charging you more money to accomplish less. Because I'm guessing it's going to just be an extra person over the top. Places the work of 45 city agencies within a singular framework, but it's under racial equity. I don't think this is going to work.
Plan was born during a defining moment in our city's history, when New Yorkers were in the streets in the midst of a global pandemic, calling for justice, demanding accountability, and bearing witness to brutality unfolding on our streets and on our screens. In that moment, our city was asked to reckon with the deep systemic inequities that have long shaped life here and to do better. New Yorkers across all 5 boroughs answered that call. Their voices and their persistence are what brought us to this moment. The release of the preliminary citywide racial equity plan is a reflection of that collective mandate. It is not just a document, it is a commitment to confront institutional and systemic racism within our city. And
here's the thing, look at this right here. If there was institutional racism, none of you guys would be here.
Well, that's because Mom Donnie did that. It has nothing to do with the fact that a lot of these people are career politicians and have been in their career for years. No, Mom Donnie, because he got elected, these people are now in places of power. I'm sure they had nothing to do with it originally. And I hate that whole mindset where it's like, because now when you go to somewhere, my thought process is this person qualified? Or are they only here because they're trying to meet a quota? That's the sad part. I went to the doctor the other day and there was a black physician, and immediately it's just like, is she actually qualified, or was she just there because they had to make sure they got another black applicant? That's ridiculous. No, everyone should just be qualified. It's that simple. There shouldn't be this whole DEI nonsense. The people who are doing a job should, guess what? Be qualified for the job and the best for it. Like, I remember my mother, she got in law enforcement, and her boss was talking to her once and basically told her how he was saying, like, you know, when you got hired, it felt like we were scraping the bottom of the barrel, you know, insulting her because she's a woman. She's a woman, but he was surprised because she was more hardworking than a lot of the guys there. She did her job. She was well respected, just everyone liked her there. Everyone absolutely respected her for what she did. But the thing is, she was still judged because she was a woman. She was still judged because she was a woman. That it's like, yeah, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel if you're ending up with a woman in law enforcement. But she ended up actually just doing her job. She enjoyed what she did, and she ended up being the boss. But it's still fascinating that there is that mindset. There is that mindset there that it's like, oh, that we're getting from the bottom of the barrel. We have a female in law enforcement, and she just did her job and became incredibly respected. But at the same time, it was just like when she first got hired, that's how they felt. That's how they felt. Sure, it was but she didn't complain about that. She didn't realize till after the fact that it would be considered like rude to say something like that, because she was just there to like, well, I guess, because she found her career later in life. She didn't find it like in her 20s. I think she already had all 5 of us by the time she found her career. All 5 of us. She was like in her 30s when she finally found it. It's like, yeah, it's later in life.
You being on the stage to say this is proof that you don't need this. Yeah, it's nuts. It's getting worse. But the sad part is, remember, Mom Donnie ran campaigns and has now made speeches since he's won exclusively in other languages that weren't English. And now you're seeing over in Jersey, same thing.
है हम देसी कम्युनिटी न्यू जर्सी के सबसे बड़े कम्युनिटीज में से एक हैं मेरा नाम जय वागनकर है
And the sad thing is, if you're campaigning
I hate how I understood some of that.
in another language, you are not planning on representing Americans, in my opinion. If you campaign to foreigners, you are going to lead for foreigners and represent foreigners. It's very sad. He's going to represent the Indians in this foreign languages in India. Okay, that makes sense. And yeah.
Yeah, it's Hindi. Yeah, you can't say it's an Indian language. Well, it is an Indian language, but you can't say that it's in Indian. It's not in Indian. But I hate it. I hated how he started speaking. I'm just like, okay, he's speaking Hindi. Of course.
Going from 70% white to what it is, 25% in 30 years, Urdu or Hindi makes sense. I think the ratios of who voted for Mamdani was like none of the like second or third generation New Yorkers. It was people that just got there recently. But the fact is, he can be in New York City, one of the greatest American cities out there, and he can conveniently duck out of the literal terror attacks that are occurring against his officers and try to sheepishly ignore the fact that it's getting worse and worse because he wants to represent them. 48% immigration population in New York City elected Mamdani. Exactly, yep. How many people that voted for Mamdani, even campaigned for him in New York City, were the types of, let's push the LGBTQ narrative. Let's, women's rights are paramount, which are they're basically the antithesis of a certain religion. They are 100% on board with importing millions of people from this specific, very, very traditional religion. They're not compatible with modern day liberal values, and they're just chickens for KFC. Democrats used to be anti-immigration, which is crazy because Democrats used to try to represent the working class American citizens. But now they thought it's actually easier to buy the votes of immigrants that we grant amnesty to. Here's free housing, here's free food, here's free social services, here's free money, just pocket money. It's easier to get them to vote for us forever than to get the downtrodden, struggling American working poor. Hard to keep them when you're also courting an easier to get voting class. And
yeah, that's basically how Decoy is literally saying it verbatim with how you want that to voter class. The problem is it destroys your nation overall. But a lot of people don't care about that. That's the sad part. They truly don't care about that. They only care about the voting the next or winning the next election. And that's not, it shouldn't be that way. It really should not be that way. But a lot of people don't care. They don't care about the longevity of it. They don't care about the future of a nation. They just care about, I need to win the next term. I need to be like, no. Again, I'm against politicians. We need leaders. I hate every single politician we have in power right now because they don't care about the people. We need someone who's willing to fall on their sword for the people. But that's the thing. A lot of leaders don't last because they have to fall on their own sword in order to protect the people, which means they don't remain in power. And that's the sad part. That really is the sad part. It's absolutely disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. He's destroying New York City. It's funny how people still are fighting for socialism, especially universal socialism, when it's been proven time and time again that it doesn't work. Eventually, will we need something like that as basically machines take the jobs all over the place? Yeah, but that's like a meal loaf, like military rations, like an anchovies container that you live in, like a little cubicle. You basically have a coffin that you live in, and the only people who are actually given more, they hold a job, they provide a family, they pay taxes. Like those people that provide more are given more. That just makes more sense. Not everyone lives equally, but everyone's given like a basic bare minimum. They can't travel, they can't do anything, but they can eat and sleep. That's about it. That's all us humans need. And they can socialize every now and then because guess what? They don't work for a living. And then you have the people that actually provide to society that are given the amount of everything. You have the toilet cleaners. You have the doctors. You have which are all toted way above. Like even those who are scraping toilets are given higher praise than those that do nothing. Someone who's scraping toilets can live in high luxury because he's at least willing to do a job. Like that's the thing. That's where it would go.
You guys got a video? It's so bad.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Why is it like that?